Hey, we're on. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to our third annual members meetup. Welcome team. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, hot, summer, humid day. Just trying to keep the sweat off of us. And we just came in from harvesting some greens. And so we filled up 2 bins of water. And you don't really need much else other than just some nice water. One is for washing, one is for rinsing, and then we have a rack to start the drying process. So you want to get something that's food grade, plastic, or even stainless steel, and a nice clean, a hardwood, and then just kind of make a simple frame. You can see I just stapled the edges of it just to get the greens on a rack as fast as possible, because even some of our members have learned that sitting it overnight is going to yellow out the leaves, especially in the summertime. So you want to harvest, wash, and dry within a few hours. You have a small window of time. And that's just because the leaves are so soft and they're already full of water. Right? If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can even unmute if you'd like anytime and ask. And so what I like to do is I like to take the bundle that I just grabbed, where it's really easy, and I like to just dunk it like this, just to get the number 1 and number 2 off, because you've got lizards, birds. That's really all this is. Moringa is already what's called hydrophobic, so it already repels water. It has natural oils on it. You can actually see that the water is just beating off of it because of the oils, the natural oils that are in it. So it doesn't even stay wet. If you look, the leaves are actually still dry. But all this is really doing is just getting that first initial dust off. And I like to do it like this with it still connected because it's really fast this way. And then really the second one is just a rinse. And it's just water. Like we said, we're just trying to get number 1 and number 2 from lizards, birds. Moringa is actually already a very clean plant. And then we just put it right there. We'll just go ahead and even put some of this in, put some of this in. I like to keep it all pretty well organized, where I have the ends where I can just hold the ends very easily. And I usually do that when I'm harvesting and pulling off. I keep them all in the same orientation, in the same direction. And that's really all we're going to do is just take this little batch, just kind of shaking it in there, and then shake that off again. The first bin usually gets really dirty. The second bin is usually still clear at the end of it. And we're just getting all of these on the racks. And so then what you'll want to do is you'll want to have 10, 20, 30, 40 racks, and possibly have a system, even a framing system, where you can slide them in. One of the things that I tell people that they can do is actually go to Publix, go to the back door, knock on the back door like you're about to give them some bread or something. I used to be a bread man, so I used to do this all the time. And I just go to the back as if I've got a piece of paper. We're gonna do an invoice, and then I say, "Hey, you got any old bread racks back here that you're just trying to clear out the space? You're just going to try to clear out some space back here?" Normally they'll be like, "Well, we have to take it to auction," because they take that money and they put it to corporate. But then I'll pull out a $20 bill. It's like, let me get that rack. So then usually I'll get like racks like that from the back of the store. And they sell for like $50 or so at auction, 50, $100 sometimes at auction. You can go to like a restaurant depot. We have one down here in Tampa. They usually have the the metal racks at Publix or any other grocery store just kind of goes through. They have to replace them every couple years. So even the last time I went and got a pub sub, I went there, I was like, hey, there was one sitting in the back there. And I was like, what you guys doing with that one?
That's smart.
She's like, I got to ask the manager.
Did you get it?
I didn't get that one. But she's like, I got to ask the manager.
I always say the worst anyone can say is no.
Right.
Yep. I was like, all right. Well, put my name on it. Now, if you're doing the method that you're just stripping the greens completely or separating the greens completely, even like at the end of this, like you could do this. Like even one of the methods that I like to do is even just go ahead and pull them off while they're like this. You can even just do this. Like I said, it just depends on if you want to be doing more work on the back end, or if like you're in a rush right now. If you're in a rush, like normally I am, to where I'll just do this, you know, and just get them washed. But if you have a little bit more time, you're like, you know what, I really won't have the time later to say like sift. But I'm actually working really hard to help everybody speed up that sifting process, so that way you get a faster sift. So then, yeah, because the sifting process can essentially, on the back end, if like say you guys saw the dry room, it has lots of sticks in there, because I mostly, because of my time, I'm doing it like this. But what it does is, with the rack and with it spread out like this, these are crispy. These are crispy dry within 24 hours. So within 24 hours, they're crispy, and that maintains the color and the nutrient and the vitamins the best. With no cooking, no heating, no outside. There was a comment, I think, on the Facebook group where someone was asking, you know, how do I dry it? And one of the international guys was like, just like what they do is they cut it and then leave it in the field until it browns and crisps, and then they grab it. And it's brown. And it's the reason why a lot of the powders are brown, because they're drying it out in the field. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that minerals are harder to dissipate, right? Minerals can go through fire and heat and cooking, right? That's how we're able to still live, by cooking our food, is from the minerals. A lot of the vitamins that we get is actually from the raw foods that we eat. But also some vitamins can become more prevalent with cooking because of the chemistry, with the chemical reactions of these particles coming together. It's literally like science, you know? So, yeah, that's one reason why when someone says, oh, you're too expensive, or, oh, you take too long, or whatever it is, I'm just going to order on Amazon. I'm like, okay, you're just going to get the stuff that they dropped outside on the ground. No worries. But the reason why it takes longer with me, the reason why it's more expensive with me, is because I'm doing all of these extra care steps. Plus, the labor in the USA is 100 times more than the labor in any other country. So they work for pennies for a day. A day's worth of work is, say, $100 to $200 for a USA worker.
Now, how would you modify this for someone that doesn't have the space for 2 bins and a rack like this? Would you do a
modify?
Spinner?
Yes, I can show you. Really quickly, I can even just go get the bowls that I use. They're actually just right through here. Just 2 small bowls, metal bowls. Great question.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so to modify this, that way it's a little bit of a smaller scale, is just to use small metal bowls, and you can do the washing process in this. Have 2 bowls, one for washing, one for rinsing. You can do a little bit at a time. And as far as the drying process, though, you could have smaller racks, but you could see that even just, I mean, we only harvested maybe 10 branches, you know, and what might come of this, you know, if we were to weigh this out, this might come to wet, you know, this might come to maybe like a pound. And so with this dry, this will turn into about a quarter pound, if not less. So it might come out to maybe 100 grams. And I'll show you what 100 grams looks like once we go in. And so that's really the main process for getting them to this next stage. This is where the money happens, by doing that every single day, which I've had to force myself to remind myself that, you know, I want to do all the fun things, you know, I want to, you know, travel and meet members, but really it's the simplicity of every morning before the sun, because I saw your question too, because you were like, hey, I want to harvest a little bit later, you know. That's why I like to teach, if you harvest it at 9, the sap is still high, all the vitamins and minerals and nutrients are still in the leaves. The leaves hasn't gone through a stress, you know, so they're still really green, and especially on a full moon. So like, even if you just focused on harvesting maybe, you know, 5 days out of the month, so like those 5 days you're grabbing your trees, but then you spend the rest of the month just letting them come back. But then on a full moon, you're just focused on always having a turn. I have to remind myself sometimes, because it's like I'm moving so much that I don't realize that I've got to think ahead like 3, 4, 5 weeks, you know, because the process of this right here is just going to already take a week. Then the process of going from the dry sift to powder, that could take me another week as I'm rolling through, say, 20 to 30 other orders. And then at the end of the week, I'm out of powder. Whew. Well, good thing I already have 5 pounds that are already about to be powdered. But then there are those times, like in the wintertime, where it really slows down really quickly. And so then that's when we start making videos and sales about the seeds or the oil, you know, other things. Thankfully now we have the pellets, and we have the like the tincture, you know, and other supplemental items that can get us through the wintertime when our greens are light, you know, especially if you're trying to make a living or any kind of extra income from it. Were there any other questions about the wash process?
Actually, the picking process.
The what?
The picking.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is there a better time of day to do it? Are you saying?
Yes. We were saying that the best time of day to harvest is before it gets hot, because the sun and the heat is going to put that tree into a dormant state for the day. It's going to go into a nap mode, you know. And so what we'll do is, when it's live and it's green and it's fresh and the sun is coming up and the water and the sap is still really high, the vitamins and the minerals are still really high in the leaf. Because summer is the season and the harvesting season is in the summer, we want to do it early in the day, because the rest of the day it's so hot.
So what makes, did I not bring my book in? What makes leaves go yellow?
What makes leaves go yellow? Great question. There's a few factors that makes leaves go yellow. The first factor is the nature of the tree itself. It is the tree itself. The tree itself has a very short living life. The leaves are very short living leaves. And so the leaves just don't live long, and they yellow out fast. And that's why we're constantly harvesting the trees back. If I start to see the leaves yellowing, I grab it before they all are lost, because the yellow is going to keep traveling up. If you see like a long, lanky lanky stick, they all had branches on them that all fell off. So it's just the actual genetics and the nature of the tree itself, is that the leaves are just a very short living leaf. The second reason would be that it's too wet, and so that maybe it was planted in a low-lying area, or you're watering it too much in a pot, or it's not in enough sun, or the drainage is not good. It needs to have good drainage. They like it high and dry, but nice and high. Yep. And that's really the main thing, is that your leaves are constantly going to be regenerating. It regenerates us and our bodies really fast because it itself is a fast regenerating tree. Right? So it's a soft, it helps with soft tissue. You know, the things that, the words that you extrapolate from the tree are the things that it does to the body. You know, they're just, they go hand in hand. And that's actually how I learned about those connections, is because of architecture, because we had to write a page, and then from that page we would have a charrette where, like, a peer of ours, a student, would then build the thing that we wrote about. And so then whatever we built, we would then sit it side by side to the person that never saw it but just went off of the words. Right? Like, when you walk in, it's compressed and dark, but then it opens up in the light. You know, so just kind of like those kind of descriptions. And so, like, listening to, like, how to explain a building, and then I took that as I was learning about plants. I was like, oh wow, well, that means it's kind of like this for the body, or it does this with the body. And so they'll yellow out fast, and that's just the nature of the tree. So you just want to keep grabbing it before they turn yellow. Yeah, they're mostly full of ammonia at that point. They're pulling all the nitrogen, the minerals, the vitamins back down into the roots to then push out more. Yeah, it's almost like it, like, charged up, and then it dissipates that charge back down to make two more. You know, so it's like those leaves are getting the tree what it needs. The leaves are actually a perfect design. You see this right here? The way that this sits, actually, the way that this sits like this, when it's hot, when it's super hot, you'll start to see these all kind of like drope over. Well, there's been tests done that they take the air that's going through here, and it actually is creating a cooling air flow underneath of this that swirls around and creates a cooling air underneath of this. It's literally like the perfect design.
Are you talking about when the leaves curl a little?
Yeah, it creates a wind foil for the air to drop and cool.
Because I've noticed on our trees that I could have just one leaf like this,
They're all
curled up, and the rest of the tree is normal.
Yeah, that's cooling it.
I took a picture of it to show you, because I thought,
wow.
what's this all about?
Yeah,
So,
it's the cooling. It's literally like creating the perfect vortex. Like, if you take that curve, that's the Fibonacci spiral. And so that right there is creating the to cool it as well. It's like literally the perfect design. That's why a lot of tropical plants, and you might see down the road, is that a moringa? No, that's just another tropical whatever. Oh, is that moringa? No, that's just another tropical. Because they kind of tend to all have this kind of hot leaf. It's designed for perfection. Wonderful. Well, next up, I think we're going to maybe do trees.
I have another question.
Yes, please.
With the drying stage, do you find that one method is faster versus another if you strip the leaves here, or if you wait till they dry and then strip the leaves?
Yes,
Does
they
one
actually
dry faster or slower?
Yeah, it definitely dries faster, separated completely from it. But having it on a screen in a space that has a dehumidifier, with a space that has fans, and having this airflow is going to get it crispy within 24 hours. Do you see that bee? You see me bite my tongue and I move my head away? They don't want the air. And I bit my tongue and I sent out a shock wave. And I said, go on now.
Wait, teach that again?
So the bees are supersonic. And so all of the nerve endings in our body end in our tongue.
Oh.
And so that's the power of the tongue, right? The spell, all the energy that we speak also ends at our tongue. So I bit my tongue and I sent out a nervous system shockwave into the air, into the ether, because they pick all those frequencies up. So I just went like this. And I just like telepathically said, beat it. And I sent that out in the air like you know, the Dragon Ball Z. That's essentially what it is. Essentially what it is. And that's what I did. And then I made sure that it was not smelling my breath or the air.
Kendrick said, "Do it."
Yeah.
I bite my tongue at you.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, it works. From the bee whisperer. Great questions. We're going to go ahead and wrap up here, and then we'll be back with our next one. I think our next one is, we're at 11, washing. Oh, well, perfect. We're going to do lunch. We're going to make some soup from our leaves now, and we'll make maybe another smoothie and make some food and talk about food here at 12. We'll do more of like a lunch, and we'll go in and we'll set up our station inside and have some snacks. We've got lots of bananas. And
You got great banana trees right here. I've never seen them this high.
yeah.
And I'm in Central Florida, so things are stunted up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that line of trees, of banana trees, has really helped to keep the water back from that property. Because what I did the first year that I was here, I didn't touch anything. I just watched. So that first summer, this whole yard turned into a pond. This whole thing was a pond. And so that pond over there would overflow, and even into this would be a pond. So I said, we can't have that. So I had hundreds of oak mulch loads. And I just had them come down and line it up right here. And then I leveled it, and it was about 2 feet above the regular ground. And then I built raised beds on top of that. That's what those raised beds are. And then over the course of the last 2 years, all of that settled to make soil. And now we're at a spot where in the wettest time of the year, we can walk out there and we're not on any standing water. You can feel it. You can definitely feel that it's spongy. But when you walk to the neighbor's yard, you actually have to step down into the neighbor's yard because it goes down, because I've built it up so much. And it's continuing to build up because now I go to locations, I bring organic matter in from trees. The trees that are here have tons of organic matter. And also what I'm doing is, from the time that I stayed in Cambodia, I saw a lot of ditches everywhere.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to incorporate here is just lots of open ditches. So that way we can maintain a safer, healthier zone that doesn't flood and stagnate. And I started, and I'll show you the banana circle in the back. It has one of those ditches in it now, and it's full of water.
Yeah.
But we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more that I need to dig out. That big one there has a big pond in it. You can see that there's a big, huge pond in that circle right there. And the water from the sink, I disconnected it, and then I ran a PVC pipe out to that. So the sink water from the kitchen, even in the middle of the winter when it's super dry, that is actually super wet. So the bananas are getting watered all dry season as well. All right, so we'll be back in about 30 minutes or so. We're going to hang out, and we're going to get set up for our food dishes. And we're going to make some pesto, maybe make some sauces, talk recipes. And so we'll see you in a few minutes.